Watching it Hulu with ads. Oh my God.
I don't want them.
Yes, you do.
Drive-by movies you're watching.
Fresh releases.
My name is Blaze.
And my name is James.
And this week we're talking about David Bruckner's brand new movie, Hellraiser.
Their pain. All for us. What is it you pray for?
Disney presents Hulu's Huluween new film of 2022. Here, they take on Clive Barker's 1987 horror classic, where a young woman struggling with addiction comes into possession of an ancient puzzle box, unaware that its purpose is to summon the Cenobites. So Hellraiser, an 80s classic with Pinhead. Pinhead was originally written as a character by Clive Barker, but was supposed to have feminine qualities according to the novel. But in the 80s, though, whatever film studio is behind the original Hellraiser movies, they wanted to create this new character to compete with Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. So they went with the overall just a creepy male looking guy. And that's the face of Pinhead that we are used to. So already we had a bunch of outcry when we had this transgender actor within this movie and stuff. So I think that's great. But is it a good movie, though? No. What did you think, though, Blaze? Yeah.
Oh, a cliffhanger. We're going to have to wait to see what you thought. Well, I mean, we know what you thought, but we're going to have to wait to get the deets. Anyways, yeah, when it comes to this movie, I had some issues with, I felt like, I don't know, I guess my TV, after asking you, I guess my TV was messed up. I'd like to ask anyone in the comments to let me know if this film was too dark for you when you watched it, because I had every light in my room off. I closed all the curtains. I have blackout curtains. There's no light coming in, and I couldn't see 90% of the movie, even though like I could still see the TV fine. Like there was no glare, nothing, and I couldn't see the movie. It's just so dark for some reason, and I'm sitting in a dark room. How is that darker than the darkness that I'm sitting in? It made no sense to me. I was literally perplexed. But I think that did kind of that did have an issue with my enjoyment of this movie. That was like probably one of the things. The other thing is watching it Hulu with ads. Oh my God. The sound mixing on this film is also another one of those like perfect sound mixes, but then the ads come in, like you got to turn the sound up to 27, and then the which is very loud. Actually, most stuff I watch on 9, and then the ads come in and they're just like so loud. The ads are the scariest thing about this movie. I felt like whenever they come in and this like a jump scare, I'm getting some McDonald's ads for the latest Big Mac or quarter pounder with cheese. But yeah, I don't know, that was driving me nuts. So Hulu with the ad breaks, the loudest hell ads for 5 minutes, driving me nuts. Like I don't mind Tubi because I don't pay for it, but I gotta pay $8 to get the movie ruined for me, essentially $7.99 I think in the state of California. But yeah, those are all things that don't have to do with Hellraiser, but all impacted my viewing majorly. I don't know if you can watch this movie in theaters. Like I remember, or you can't watch Prey in theaters either. But yeah, I felt like this was one that might have done better in theaters. But overall, my biggest gripe with this movie is there's literally no likable character in this movie to make you want to watch it, and no one's annoying enough for you to want them to die, and that wouldn't have really even been happening anyways. Kind of like everyone kind of gets out of this, like in a way, not everyone, but just the characters where you're like, dude, come on. Like I don't know, this movie has literally no likable characters. The plot, I like the idea of it being about addiction and stuff, but I do feel like the Evil Dead remake just did that better, and this had nothing to offer that story that you didn't already see in the Evil Dead remake. Not to say like that the story has to be entirely original, but I feel like when you're taking on one of these big properties, you should try and make it a little bit different than one of the other like major remakes that people know as well. But anyways, I'm kind of curious what you disliked about this film.
No, 100% agree, and you kind of just said it. I mean, overall, it mainly comes down to our lead character, played by Odessa Azion, who plays the character Riley. The biggest problem with this movie is making her the central character. I get it with the movie, you want like a Scream Queen character, but if they wanted that, they should have reversed kind of the roles to where maybe the person we're rooting for. So the main person who should have been the main character was her brother. He does a bad thing. He kicks her out. This is like minor spoilers, not really like a big spoiler, but like he kicks her out after she comes home drunk one day. He's been supporting her sobriety ever since she got out of rehab. And he kicks her out, and literally like an hour or two later, he feels so guilty and runs out in the middle of the night to go find her. And then it ends up to where he accidentally, you know, sacrifices himself towards Pinhead and these Cenobites. And it right away, like the Riley feels bad and is trying to get him back. But I'm like, I don't care about Riley. She put him in that situation, kind of. Yeah, he kicked her out, but what we should have got was a movie where maybe it's an older sister. She's supporting her little brother, and then maybe the little brother gets killed with this stupid thing that they stole with the puzzle box, and then like she just feels so guilty kicking her brother out after him doing so well trying to get out of rehab, and she feels guilty and feels like she's responsible for the reason that he died, and like has to go get him. Like that's how the movie should have played out, like already. Like you could have made the same exact movie plot for plot, just tweak it a little bit, and it would have made it such a better character to root for the whole movie. And that's my main gripe. But also, like, yeah, I mean, I like the Cenobites within this movie. I agree with them kind of being hard to see at times. I would have liked to have seen more of the priest. I guess they acknowledge Pinhead within this movie. Jamie Clayton, she's fantastic in the role. I really loved the voice that she was using. It was really creepy. And used like sparingly, though. I would have liked to have seen more, because I felt like we're seeing more of the other Cenobites. Like some of the other Cenobites are creepy, but just like we're there to see Pinhead for the most part, and none of them felt that much more different from the original one too. Like they felt cool, and I love the practical effects that was used on them. But just I felt like they were used very sparingly, and we get too much of this rich guy who's planted this puzzle box. And also I felt like that was just such a crazy concept. Why lock it in a barrel, get a guy to steal it with another person to, like, it's just overly complicated. It felt like I was watching Now You See Me, where I'm like, you didn't have to go through all this. You're rich. You could have paid a bunch of people to just like come over and mess with that thing and sacrifice it. So
just leave it out with a bunch of other puzzles for some reason on a coffee table. I'm sure someone would have touched it.
It happened at the orgy in the opening scene. Look what happened right then and there. Like, I'm like, what's stopping you to keep doing that and stuff? I don't know if I missed something, but like David Bruckner is someone I really respect. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of The Ritual, but I really want to see The Night House. I love his take on the VHS short films as well too. But you know, just like, I didn't hate The Ritual. I was just a little disappointed, not into it as much as everyone else. But I went in with high hopes for this movie, and Hellraiser is not a movie I hold deeply to me. The original 80s one, like, I've seen it once. I thought, sure, it's cool visually, but I can't tell you anything that happens other than like a weird couple that's married. That's all I really remember, and just like, it's pretty gory. But this is a movie that I felt like needed to be remade, and like, you only got one shot to do these things, and like the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, just like, this is what you come up with. Like, I wasn't a big fan of the Evil Dead remake, the one that you brought up, but like over years, like, I've grown to actually really enjoy that movie, and just like, I don't see that happening here.
I'm not a fan of that movie by any means, even though I brought it up. Just wanted to clarify. But yeah, I do. It's funny that you brought up Nightmare on Elm Street. That was the next thing I was literally just about to bring up. I think this is completely just Nightmare on Elm Street remake over again. It's a very glossy version of Hellraiser, very different, not super different from the original, but different enough, and everything just gets this nice clean HD 4K gloss remix. But it doesn't really tell a story it tells a story that's different enough from the original. Sorry, it's completely different than the original. But it almost just feels like any other of the Hellraiser films besides the second one. Sorry, any of the other like kind of knockoff Hellraiser like sequels that just weren't really worth watching and were direct-to-video Dimension films. Like, and it just, the story really isn't there in this film. It's just no characters likable. This film goes on way too long. That's another thing. Like, this film is over 2 hours and it feels like 3 or something.
Oh, geez, yeah. For a movie that, like, you know, is short and produced by Disney, like, I'm glad it kind of went there, but just it felt like a chore watching it. And like, for the most part, like everyone I follow on Letterboxd are all saying I liked it, but I was disappointed. And I'm just like, it's okay to just say you didn't like it and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a movie that anyone's really gonna give a second chance. Like, I hope it like does well, and like, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel if it's like a better take on it. It does happen where sometimes it ignites like interest in the franchise, and hopefully like if it continues it just gets better, because I really do like the visuals within this movie, and the last shot is cool but also felt pointless at first. But yeah, it's just a missed opportunity with the script. I think like all the pieces were there, but just it wasn't put together properly. It feels like just a couple pieces were put upside down instead of, you know, right way forward and everything. And yeah, it's just unfortunate, I'd say.
Yeah, I feel like I really wanted to like this movie on paper, especially with a lot of the casting in it. I mean, literally, I'm just thinking about, I guess, Pinhead. That's the only casting, because everyone else, I didn't recognize anyone else in this film. But yeah, I just, other than that, like, I felt like some of the designs, some of the effects that were used were great and a lot of fun. But all around that, once you take that away, the story just wasn't really enough to really keep me entertained, enthralled, and really felt like I was watching something new. It just felt like I was watching a rehash of something else.
Yeah, it feels like a rehash of just basically like The Ring, like your time is limited, you're about to die, so you have to complete these tasks in order to survive. And like you said, also Evil Dead, the rehab take on the movie. So, you know, like, are we full of crap? Let us know in the comments what your thoughts on this Hellraiser remake was. You know, great way to help support the show is just by doing that and checking out the movie through Hulu.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all our latest updates.
And if you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, be sure to catch all our social media links down below. We got Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and our Letterboxd accounts. Anyways, guys, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.